That's a lot.
I know. Come on. Did you hit your leg?
No, I haven't.
Oh. All right, welcome everybody. So Don Pod is semi no more.
Semi no more.
But now we have the DNP Power Hour AM edition.
I'll explain in a sec. So
I'm Dom, this is Pete.
Pete. So what we decided to do now.
Hi Tyler.
What we decided to do to make
Shout
the
out,
shows
Tyler.
a little bit more fun is it's not one long show. We
No.
decided to kind of make both our shows very similar, like similar titles. Because we talk about all the same stuff. So
Pretty
we're
much, yeah.
why not make it my show in the afternoon hour, my afternoon hour show, extend what we talk about in his show and add a little bit more pop culture and whatever to it.
Well, we're gonna add some pop culture.
We'll
today.
add pop culture to this one.
But it's pop culture is usually because I said I explained it the first episode. This is basically my
Everything
radio
we
show,
love.
everything we love.
So I was now that we're partners, why don't we just put our names in the title together for both episodes?
yeah, pretty much,
It's
and
like,
I
you
like that idea though.
Don Pod will still be around when he's a solo host or when I'm not on his pods. And same thing with my old pod name, which I believe it was Ball and All. That'll be when I go in solo and do more just a sit down sports talk for a half hour instead of co-host. But everything else is going to be the same structure. But now it also allows more exposure for the both of us because we're both on the same. We share it. Everybody will see both of us.
Yeah.
Also, follow us on Instagram. I'm gonna plug the Instagrams at WIUR Gales Radio. I could plug the Instagram. And make sure I got the title right.
Yeah.
Because that might be the Instagram. That might be the
don't know.
YouTube. No, yeah, it is. It's WIUR underscore Gales Radio.
Okay, that's what I'm doing.
Follow them on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube to watch live. It's really, you want to just reel us in now to, normal
Yeah. So now we get to our scheduled programming. So start off scheduled programming. Before we get into it, a little tease for the DNP PM Power Hour. Later on today for Pete's show, we will be talking about Scream because him and Jake, shout out Lazy Langlo 10, went to the critic screening of Scream 7 last night.
Yeah, and the review embargo has been lifted, so we're eligible
to say spoilers
to it, but not spoilers. We're eligible to talk about the Power Hour on long late night last night. I'm tired. We're able to talk about the movie without spoilers on both Power Hours, but we're gonna wait till Jake comes in for the second Power Hour because his only request was whatever show I'm on, we have to talk about Scream.
Yes,
and I don't want to talk about it and then just rehash what we say with him. I want it to be authentic. So when he comes on at 2:30, we'll talk about Scream,
as well as of course Olympic hockey.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Team USA winning gold, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean it was absolutely phenomenal. But to the regular schedule programming, we'll open up with, of course. Actually, no, we'll open up with a little NFL because this morning we did get the news breaking by Adam Schefter.
I'll break it down because I was reading about it earlier.
You can break it down, Pete, since you are the Jets fan here.
Yeah. So I wasn't really gonna talk. I was gonna talk about this a little bit on my show.
You can talk this a little bit more on your show, but you can.
No, I'm gonna say more of my thoughts here because I'm it's gonna be the same stuff. But I was just thinking, Jermaine Johnson was good first round pick. He wasn't the same last year as he was the first couple of years when after he tore his Achilles. They get a nose tackle, which I'm surprised the terminology. I haven't seen the terminology nose tackle in a few years in the NFL. Tavondre Sweat, who's actually he's not a sack getter. He's a really good nose tackle. Run stuffer.
Yeah, I'm playing with it now. You want to play with it?
He's a very good nose tackle, run stuffer. He knows he fits the scheme well that the Jets supposedly want to run, which is more of a 4-3 beef up with beef on the inside, lighter off the edge, so you get more. Johnson kind of fit that bill well, but he also didn't play the best. The other thing is maybe it opens up now if you draft an edge rusher in the first round, you still have Will McDonald, who they seem to have higher upside on, play off the edge more. I honestly, I would have traded Will McDonald over Johnson. I think Johnson has a better skill set. I think Will McDonald is more of a one-trick, third down, off the ball edge rusher, not really someone you could rely on every down. He'd fit well if they kept Jermaine Johnson and then rotated McDonald in on third down pass plays. Because from what I've seen on my eyes as a Jet fan, Will McDonald can't play the run well. I don't know if it's because his size, his weight, what it is, but when they run the ball, he would get killed when they ran off his side. So I think and Johnson played the run a lot better off the edge. So I feel like, you're going to lose a little bit of, run stuffing off the edge, but you beef up the interior. You still have Harrison Phillips, who's known as one of the top one of the top run stuffers in the league. Jawan Briggs, if the Jets choose to re-sign him, if his contract is up at the end of the year, I believe he may have one more year. I forget if he's extended or not. But if he's a free agent, I think the Jets have to bring him back for one more year. He was arguably, even with Quinnen Williams on the roster for the first 7 games, Jawan Briggs is arguably your best interior defensive lineman. I think he's young enough where you could still see if you still have something, so you could bring him back. I think he's only 25. So I would, over the Jets, I would re-sign him. They have indicated.
I like him a lot, by the way.
The Jets have indicated that they will be picking up the 5th-year option on Will McDonald, which I'm a little iffy about. I'm not the biggest Will McDonald fan. I wasn't a fan of getting him in the first round. I don't think he was really that high of a first-round talent. I feel like you could have traded back up late first round and still got him if you really wanted him. I think it was more of a panic pick when they took when the Steelers took Broderick Jones ahead of you, who, looking in hindsight, that pick isn't looking well either, but still, I think you kind of just panicked and took the BPA on your draft board that year when you should have went, you had JSN on the board. Hindsight, even coming out, everyone knew JSN was going to be one of the top wide receivers because, everyone was surprised he fell that late to Seattle, a pick after us. You had JSN, you had multiple, guys that contributed to a Super Bowl winning teams over the last 3 years available in the first round, and you took an edge who's probably, I think, even when the 5th-year option expires, he's not going to get a second contract unless it's like a short-term 1 or 2 year deal with the Jets. Kind of turned this into a Jets ramble, but I have a little bit of thoughts I wanted to say on the Jets, and I'll get them out now because I'm going to do more. We'll do more hockey on the other hour.
Yeah, on your hour.
So we'll do this hour for the NFL. I also think, on Tennessee side, they get Robert Saleh gets an edge that he's familiar with.
Yeah.
I think that was a big reason why they just traded him to Tennessee as well, not just because they're getting a very good run stuffer who's very light on the cap. He's only making $1.7 million to the cap. But I think also, Robert Saleh wanted someone that's familiar with the defensive scheme because, Johnson was drafted and developed in Robert Saleh's scheme. He only played 1 year under Aaron Glenn's scheme, which is very different, which is a lot more physical man-to-man type scheme, where Saleh's scheme is more zone coverage, let the edge rushers work, where they do a lot more stacked box packages compared to Aaron Glenn, where they do a lot more man-on-man, less interior, less front, It's still a 4-3 scheme, but they don't rush, they don't blitz more than 4 usually. Johnson had a good second season in Robert Saleh's defense. Then, of course, you can't control injuries towards Achilles, but he probably would have had another good year. This year, he was up and down with injuries a little bit, but I think that was just an effect of the ankle on the Achilles he tore was just aggravated because he came back a little too soon. So on Tennessee side, I think the value is there. So far, it's only been dubbed as a 1. It's been dubbed as a 1-for-1 Johnson for Tavon. You have to see if, between now and then, any draft picks get added or not. Because, sometimes they'll say these trades are 1-for-1. And then because the league is on a roster freeze until the new league year starts in early March, they might add picks in later on to push the trade through. So you never know. I think both teams, got good value. I think Tennessee won the trade for the fact they got an edge rusher who could produce sacks compared to that's somewhere where the Jets lacked last year. They didn't get many sacks. From the interior and off the edge, they didn't get many sacks at all. So I feel like, it's a little bit, but you're beefing up the interior. So my intuition as a Jet fan says the Jets are going to prioritize edge in the first round, whether it's Ruben Bain at pick 2, which might be a reach, or best available edge at pick 16. There's so many options to do with pick 2. In a 1 QB draft class where Mendoza's really been dubbed the only true first round QB, I've been saying for a while, and I've been hammering this home, the Jets should just double up on defense, go the best 2 defensive players available when they pick. It doesn't hurt. You have 3 first-round picks next year if you want to go offense all first round next year too. Or I've been saying they should trade back from 2, get more picks this year, next year, and then, add more to the variety. But I'm like, do you reach for Ruben Bain at number 2 or Caleb Downs at number 2? I mean, it would be a reach for safety top 2, but the Jets defensively, on offense, the only thing I could see the Jets really do on offense would be a QB. I don't think they take a wideout number 2 because they really just need a number 2 wideout and a QB on offense. I think the offensive line finally, could say as a Jet fan, might be set for the future, especially if they keep AVT around. Tight end, you can't really evaluate Mason Taylor and Jeremy Ruckert when you have as bad as QB plays they had last year. Same thing with the wideouts that you have. But I think you should add a rookie wideout to put with Garrett Wilson, Adonai Mitchell, and John Mechie. I think, that's the key. That's the key to a successful offense. And I think defensively, you have to go and you have to really fix the defense. Even before trading Jermaine Johnson, you had holes at edge. Even before, trading Johnson, you had holes all over the defensive line. You had, even with, again, before adding T'Vondre Sweat and trading, you needed interior pass rush. You need edge rush. You need corners. The Jets' corners at the end of the year were horrible. They need safety. The only spot I'd feel comfortable with them is middle linebacker with Jamien Sherwood. He can't play the pass, so maybe you get someone that can play the pass that you could put on the field. But, they need a lot of work on defense. So I've been saying for a while, double up on defense in the first round. Use your multiple mid-round picks. Maybe if a QB you like falls to the second round, draft the QB in the second round. That's really it. Anything you want to talk about, Dom, football-wise? I kind of went on like a ramble.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, listen, we used to have rambles like this all the time in Unguided Punks, so that's completely fine. We had a ramble on the Cowboys on Unguided Punks because my boy Braden, shout out Braden, is a Cowboys fan. We've had a lot of rambles about everything, but only NFL thing is I'm excited to see where free agency. Shout out Peace Dad.
And the Jets do suck. Yes, they do.
No, I mean, listen, I'm excited to see NFL, what the season bring. I know free agency is hitting within the next couple of weeks. This is really the first, I guess, move for free agency.
I'll look at what you're speaking
but it won't be active. Like that trade won't really go through until March, until free agency does.
Yeah, it's technically not allowed to start. Free agency starts Wednesday, March 11th at 4 p.m. So,
and then I think it ends like right before spring break. Right.
Well, it doesn't really end. It just dies down.
It dies down.
Because you're going to see the franchise tag deadline is March 3rd.
Yes, that I know.
That's another thing I just want to mention really quick is I saw something else that said that I believe it was this week. Yeah, earlier this week, it was the NFL Scouting Combine.
Yes, it was.
The NFL Scouting Combine, they interviewed Aaron Glenn. He announced he's going to be calling the plays on defense, which I kind of like. I like having I feel like, he's still going to focus on all aspects of the game, but I feel like him calling the defensive plays is going to be better than a rookie DC that they hired calling defensive plays for the first year.
Especially,
that guy's going to work more with like the players themselves and coordinate the game. And then Glenn's going to have the final say in what players are called. I think if you put the defense right, it's well. And the other thing was they interviewed GM Darren Moji. He said, they're going to negotiate with Hall and his agents until March 3rd. And if they don't have a deal in place by March 3rd, they're either going to place the transitional or the general franchise tag. The difference is transitional allows Hall to technically hit the open market, but we have
Cheech.
That's a good one. They don't have an edge rush.
They really don't.
That was a good one. Shout out Dad. That's a good one. But anyway, so the transitional tag, for anyone that doesn't understand like the terminology behind it, the transitional tag more so, it's like an RFA tender in hockey or arbitrational rights in MLB where you're allowed to negotiate with other teams, but at any point the Jets have the opportunity, if they feel the contract's fair enough to match and take, they can match it and take whatever. Like, so say someone offers Hall 4 years, $11 million per year. The Jets want to sign him to that, they'll match it, and then that's really it. And then the general franchise tag just shuts down any chance of Hall getting an outside offer. Just allows the Jets to just negotiate with him exclusively until the deadline, which I believe is sometime in June, is the deadline for players to sign extensions before they have to start the year on the franchise tag. That's really it. You want to go anything you want to add, like the Giants related? Anything big with the Giants lately? I haven't really seen
nothing. There is nothing. I'm just excited to see what they can do in their free agency, and I'm calling it right now in the draft. I'm actually not going to call it right now, but what I would like to see in the draft is that they draft the wide receiver. What's his name? Tate. Couldn't remember his name.
My dad just said a good idea. Shout out my dad. He actually said a good idea, and I actually kind of would do this. He goes, if you sign Hall, he goes, trade both first-round picks and then some for Joe Burrow. I would do that in a heartbeat.
I wouldn't be mad about that.
I would do that.
I would think it'd be interesting.
I would do that. We talked about that a while ago, me and my dad, and I was like, I kind of forgot that we mentioned it, but I would do that. I mean, Burrow's proven. I kind of feel like he won't say it because he's a true pro and he's respectable, but I feel like he's kind of done in Cincinnati. Another point you just made, they do have a better offensive line. And I said this months ago, I've been like, they have two bookend franchise tackles. If they bring back AVT, they have two bookend guards. The only weak spot would be center. Tippmann at guard. Unless, you have Tippmann and AVT at guard, you have two bookend tackles. I think you put Burrow behind the best line he's played in since college. Then that allows you could get, I would do that. I think it's probably going to take, if you really look at it, it's going to take both first rounders this year. So we're not going to have a first round pick and one of the 3 first rounders we have next year, which I would do. If you could keep 2 out of the 3 first rounders we have next year and then give up both this year, I would do it for Burrow. For Burrow specifically, I would, because I think Burrow's still got a lot left where, just because he's been getting hurt, it's not really his fault. The Bengals offensive line is one of the worst lines in the league. I think that's a really good offer. I think it would probably take 3 first, so you would probably have to give it 1 next year and a bunch of mid-round picks. But I pull the trigger on it. What do you think about that one, though? I know you're a big Burrow guy. That's why I'm asking.
I find that interesting. I mean, I think Burrow, I like Burrow in Cincinnati, but I agree the offensive line is
They
terrible.
Never built around them. That's the problem.
And I think him on the Jets would be interesting to see. That's it. But for the Giants, I mean, like I said, there really hasn't been anything. I'm happy to see what why am I forgetting the coach's name right now? John Harbaugh. I'm excited to see what Harbaugh can do as the coach. I'm excited to see what Dart is going to be as the starting QB this season. As for the draft, I think for the draft, they do draft Tate, the wide receiver. You have a nasty wide receiver duo with Leak, who's finally coming back from injury, and Tate. You have Cam Scatterbo coming back. I'm excited to see what moves in the offseason the Giants are going to make. But before we cut to our ad break, I did get a notification from Fox News that Shesterkin will be returning to action against the Flyers.
So I kind of figured really quick, just because we'll talk about this after the break, but I'll just say one thought now, and then we'll go into the Rangers. We'll go into the Rangers, and then we'll do the WWE, because I know Dom's itching for WWE.
Well, I want to do a bit of NBA too. So.
We'll do a quick Rangers thought, then we'll do the ad break. So we have like 10 minutes of the ad break.
Yeah.
Really quick with the Rangers thought, I think the only guys they should really sell out at this, not sell out, the only guys they should sell on at this point after getting rid of Panarin for, I think, under market value. I understand, you weren't going to get a guaranteed first. I feel you could have got a conditional second that becomes a first. At least just get one. The prospect was good, but I think after that, you see, is a team willing to give up a number 1 for Vincent Trocheck at center? I think you'll get contending teams, especially for how he signed. He signed, I believe, 3 years. I think he signed 3 at like $5.7 million, which is pretty cheap for a third line center of like his caliber. That's a very good two-way forward. I think you could get a contending team. I'm just going to use random names. Colorado, use like a team like Colorado or Minnesota that might give up, even if it's a next year, not even this year, might give up a 2027, you get a first round pick in return. I think you're good, and then Braden Schneider could probably get you some assets. I don't know how. I think he's one of the worst defensemen on the roster defensively. I don't know how analysts and whatever are ranking him as one of the top trade targets. I can't see him getting more than maybe like a third. I really think that's the only two the Rangers could really sell on. I mean, you have other depth guys. I don't think anyone would take Connor Sheary because he hasn't done anything. Maybe you could see if teams will take on, you might get, again, contenders like a Tampa or, again, a Colorado or Minnesota or someone that'll take Taylor Radish as a fourth line grit scoring forward. Radish isn't horrible. He hasn't done much for the Rangers, but he's not horrible. If Will Borgen waives his no movement clause, maybe a team will take. I don't know. There's pieces the Rangers can move. It depends how much do you want to move and how young do you want to go. Because they keep saying retool. I know you have Igor and Adam Fox, but I think if you kept just those two, you should just go full rebuild. And they're saying, I would see if you could really convince Zibanejad to waive his no movement clause. I wouldn't mind it. As much as I love Mika Zibanejad, he's one of my favorite Rangers of all time. At this point, I think if you're going to retool and really want to get younger, you should try to get his $8 million off the books. Especially if JT Miller wants to stay, which they've been saying Miller wants to stay and the Rangers want to keep Miller. I feel like Miller, if you're going to keep Miller at $8.5 million, you shouldn't have almost $20 million invested in just your top two centers when they're not like McDavid. It's not like you have McDavid and Draisaitl as your two centers. That's a different story. When you have guys like Zibanejad and Miller who aren't, 100-point guys anymore, maybe try to move off of one of them. And I feel like Zibanejad is more likely to. If you could really convince him to waive his no movement clause and see what you could get on the open market, I think he could pull in at least one, like a first or second round pick and a top prospect for how much better he's been playing this year compared to the last 2 years. I think you keep Fox for the fact, a homegrown offensive defenseman, that caliber of play, like a Quinn Hughes, Makar caliber of play. I'm not saying he's on those guys' level, but he could produce close to it. I feel like that's a lot harder to replace than a defensive defenseman in Schneider or a Gavrikov, where you could trade those guys. Anyway, my point being, before you go to break, is the Rangers have a lot of work to do, and Chris Drury seems reluctant to really gut this roster out. He envisions a retool as being 2 years and then competing again, and I think if you do that, you're just damaging the franchise for the future even more. I think, the Rangers, they didn't do it in 2018. They kind of rushed it once Panarin hit the open market. They need to go into a full rebuild of being like Arizona levels bad before they left, where they're like top of the draft order year in, year out for 3, 4, 5 years. I think, the fans will get restless, but I think it's a necessary thing if you actually want to build a contender. You have to like gut the roster out, get a GM, a legitimate GM that actually knows what the hell he's doing in the sense of prospect development, prospect scouting. Go all over the world. Don't look at just US, Canada, and like the top hockey countries. Go to these other countries. For some reason, Chris Drury is very fixated on a lot of American and Canadians only in the draft. You got to get a legitimate GM that understands the analytics of the sport, understands where the sport's going, knows how to manage the cap. I think you could. I think Drury is just he doesn't know what he's doing. He's very fixated on one thing, and that's winning, which is good. But at the same time, the moves he's making don't allow a win now. That's that's really all I can say. And I feel like that's really all I can say here.
You kind of just said what I said. I think Drury. No, I know, because I've been saying I think Drury.
You've been saying it for months. He's got to go, and I've been agreeing with you.
Go. And it's just like when is enough? When's enough enough?
The issue is too, and this is an ownership issue. When Dolan It's Dolan. He did it with Glenn Sather for years. Until Glenn Sather stepped down and left the organization, he was always involved. When Dolan is a buddy with you, he's very reluctant to fire you. And I don't know. And that's kind of shooting the Rangers in the foot too, because, Dolan, if you really want to win, you're not allowing any semblance of winning with, having Drury there. Drury's, I keep saying it. Drury doesn't know what he's doing behind the scenes. He's like, he's giving out these contracts and signing these guys, but they're not the right moves. They're all old veterans. He thinks you could just win on veteran talent. He doesn't realize you need to develop these young players and let these young players play to win. It's not like, it's not like hockey 30 years ago where you could get a 35-year-old defenseman who has 120 hits a year and win off grit like in the 90s or the 80s. You need skill. You look at the teams that are winning. You look at Florida. Yeah, Florida's built like a team from the 90s, but you look at the skill they have. Those guys could average 200 hits a year. They're putting up 100 points. The Rangers don't have someone that could put up 100 points now that they got rid of Panarin.
No, I mean, looking at the standings, you got the Lightning, the Canes, the Penguins.
Tampa doesn't hit a lot. Tampa's not as physical as a team like Florida, the Panthers, but Tampa has multiple guys that could put up 80-plus points a year. Gensel, Braden Point, they have point score. They have actual skill.
You have the Lightning,
Colorado,
the Canadiens, the Avalanche.
Montreal's getting there. Montreal's building skill. Yeah. I guess you could say Toronto. Toronto always chokes. Toronto has skill.
Yeah,
Toronto has the skill,
and we're last in.
I think we're last in the East.
We're last in the. Yeah, we're last in the East. We're last in the East, and then
we might be last.
We're last in the Metro division, dude. It's like
you gotta go full rebuild. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I 100%.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Cut to ad break now.
Yes.
Untouchable, unstoppable.
This is WIUR Sports Radio.
Hi, I'm Robbie Basil, president of WIUR Radio, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Have you ever wanted to call the biggest games, the biggest moments for the biggest names for Iona Athletics? Then the newly founded WIUR Sports Radio is the place to be. Launched in January of 2025, our goal is to try and get broadcasters here at Iona an opportunity to learn, succeed, and get a chance to be on air. From getting to call the big moments at the hack.
Dinkins trying to go to the rack. Denied. Yafet Mundi.
To seeing the crack of the bat at City Park.
The line drive into left field, around third, and it kicks away. The Gales are going to win it in 10.
We make those moments happen on our brand new WIUR Sports Radio platform on Mixer. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to me via email or to the rest of my e-board to join the club. We are WIUR Sports Radio, the new home of Iona Athletics. Now, back to the show on WIUR, Iona University Radio.
You want to bring MLB in for a little bit? All right.
I want to kind of save it for your show.
All right, we'll do MLB one. I'm just asking before we start talking about wrestling.
So yeah, now we got wrestling. So
wrestling.
He's here.
You haven't done one of those in a minute. I was waiting for it.
Stone Cold is here. The Texas Rattlesnake is here.
Just gotta say, one of my favorite things ever. That's one of my favorite things Stone Cold's ever done. Spraying McMahon in the Rock with the beer hose.
That's one of my favorite segments of all time, bro.
Who did the milk truck?
Oh, Kurt
with the milk truck was great too, but Stone Cold doing it first with the beer was phenomenal.
Nah, that was
I love Stone Cold doing that.
But anyways, back to wrestling. So we had Raw this past Monday night. A couple things to talk about Raw. We have a great segment between Division with Cody and the Usos. We had the Elimination Chamber qualifying matches, the finals. The first final being Jey Uso versus the original El Grande Americano or Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed.
Yeah, it's so obvious at this point that it's Chad Gable. It's not even like from the minute he came on, it was obvious. But like I was telling Dom this on the phone, and I'll let you get back to your segment in a second. I'm sorry. I cut in.
No, not you. I'm just shaking my head at
I was saying, no, I know it's not me. I'm just saying sorry I cut in. But whenever Dom brings up El Grande Americano, I just vent frustration. I'm like, when I watched wrestling religiously for about a year from when Cody Rhodes won the world title at WrestleMania 40 up until I would say up until about SummerSlam this summer, I watched wrestling religiously. So it was about 2 years where I watched a lot of Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown. I was like, I followed it like a lot, and he had a big part in that. Now I'm like, to me personally, it's back to the pre-Triple H, right before McMahon left, where everything was just, and as I always said,
And
I
I'll
think
say this
McMahon still is a better booker than Triple H is. Even with what Triple H did in 2023, 2024, I think McMahon overall was still a better booker. I just feel like at this point of where WWE is, it's back to the era of McMahon just forcing the favorites in your face instead of letting natural talents develop.
I agree
And
with
I
that.
kind of like lost my luster to watch it. Like I just watched the main 4 pay-per-view. I watched WrestleMania, SummerSlam,
Rumble and Survivor Series.
Rumble, Survivor Series, and if you want to count a 5th one, Elimination Chamber. That's about it. Otherwise, I don't, care enough because I'm like, it's the same 5 segments every Monday.
It's like,
and the reason I bring this up is because I'm like, you're doing this whole gimmick with El Grande Americano, which should have
and
ended.
I understand. I'll say this right now. I understand you want to do it to give the exposure to AAA.
But you have so many other things you could do with Triple H. You have Dom Mysterio, who's been crossing over left and right with Triple H.
He's the
At
champion.
Every AAA pay-per-view, he's crossing over because he's the AAA champion. You have Rey Mysterio, who would work with who you could put in AAA.
You got Penta,
You have
Phoenix,
Penta.
Dragon
you have so
Lee.
many other luchadors.
Even non-luchador wrestlers have transitioned and wrestled for AAA. Chelsea Green, Javon Evans.
Yeah, you have so many.
Ethan Page.
Like you have so many NXT studs that you could put over.
Yeah.
To give them exposure. Well, it's giving exposure to your. I guess you could say WWE's Lucha company now. That's really what it is. If you look at it, they bought the company out, so they own AAA. That's really like their Lucha company. You have so many guys. Have a couple of like the big Lucha stars that are in AAA go to a Rumble or whatever. Not like guys like Mr. Iguana, like the big names.
I mean, Mr. Iguana, I'm okay with it.
No, Mr. Iguana is funny, but I'm like, if you're really gonna take
if you're gonna bring someone,
you're gonna bring someone from AAA in.
The best person they can bring is Vikingo.
Yeah, he's like their number 1 star. Bring him in.
Vikingo is talented.
I feel like WWE's losing its luster again.
And I've said why.
And it's because it's
not
Triple
even
H.
because of Triple H. I don't think he has big part in it. And Logan Paul said, and the fact that I'm defending Logan Paul is just crazy.
Because we both hate Logan Paul.
It's not like I hate Logan Paul, but like because I respect him and I somewhat like him. But Logan said it best. Hunter's not booking this company anymore. And Triple H doesn't have a hand. And I kind of agree. I
agree. I feel like it's not even
I think it is TKO.
It's the Saudis. I think it's the Saudis.
I don't think it is. I think it's TKO.
I think it's the Saudis because if you look, I think a lot of it's like the Saudis and TKO because I'm like, I think the Saudis just want the money and they know they just want the big names because it brings them money. And TKO just does whatever, they're the funders, that's their funders right there. So they're going to do whatever the funders say not to lose the funding.
Yeah.
If they lose the Saudis' money and the Saudi funding, TKO goes underboard. WWE is going to have to go back to a private entity.
And honestly, that'd be better.
Yeah,
that would be better.
I think TKO wants the money. TKO wants the money.
They don't need the money. You have the UFC. You don't need the money. You don't need the money. I don't want to hear it. You don't need the money.
I see rumors of Vince McMahon wanting to buy WWE back to make it a private entity and just own it without being involved in it. He did that,
I'm okay with that. But I agree with you with the fact if he's not involved.
I was gonna say if he does that and if he's involved in it in this sense, he comes on, cuts promos as chairman, but he doesn't do the booking. I would love it. If you let Triple H book WWE
like he did,
you have Vince come on and do like his old "you're fired" promos and stuff, like when he was on TV. That's fine with me because it's still like a nostalgia bait, and But if he's not the one, as long as he doesn't book it, I feel like you could bring him back in if he bought the company out.
Yeah, I agree.
I think is really a strong rumored possibility that he's going to buy the company back. I think it's his it was always his company. It's always going to be McMahon's company.
And then we finally can't have, and then if he buys it back, we finally don't have ads on every single second and always promoting
You have
every
ads and
single
promotion.
second.
And you know what I think will happen if he really buys back? I really think we're gonna get these dream matches that the fans have been saying for years.
I think we might, but at the same time,
I
I'd say
think-
let Triple H, because again, I'm gonna
I think
still
Triple-
say
I
Triple H. If Vince buys it back and you have it be its own separate entity, Triple H is gonna book it like how he booked it
'Cause
before TKO.
The report and the rumor I said is that Vince's interest in buying WWE back from TKO is legitimate. But the thing he wants to do is he wants to take it from being a publicly traded company, he wants to buy the company back and buy out all the investors and make it a privately owned company like it was when he owned it. And, basically it's his company. I think if he buys it back, I think he comes back as, the chairman or the CEO, whatever the gimmick was. But I think on the booking side, you let Triple H book it, but you could have McMahon in kayfabe or whatever it's called, in storyline, be like the booker, and then I guess you have him be like the booker in the face without actually physically booking the company. I think for the storylines you have him because then it allows him to be involved with WWE, and I think WWE would get back to how it was if he comes in. That's really all my thoughts about McMahon buying it. I'll let Dom take the reins on WWE.
You know what we gotta do for one nostalgia bait?
Well,
You're fired.
that was great.
But back to what I was saying. So Jey Uso won the qualifying match.
I like
which
that.
Flooded by dislikes, by the way, because it's main event Jey Uso. Which, by the way, he was.
You mean opening man Jey Uso?
Opening man Jey Uso. Which, by the way, he was voted as the most overrated wrestler, and he put on his Instagram story, "Y'all really love me," and I can just imagine him saying that. But the original plan was actually to see Bronson Reed win the qualifier, which I would have loved even more. Other than that, we got Liv Morgan choosing Stephanie Vicquaire for the Women's World Championship at WrestleMania. We already knew that was happening. At WrestleMania, Brock will be issuing an open challenge. So that's very questionable on who would answer it. In my opinion, I think it should be Obafemi answering the open challenge.
I think that would be a great match. You get two heavyweights, literal heavyweights. I'm talking about not even heavyweights in the company, literal. You look at the body builds, it's two literal heavyweights.
And listen,
that's about 700 pounds of pure muscle in that ring.
Oh yeah, and I think
minimal.
And you get Oba squashing Brock. I think Oba squashing Brock because that builds Oba as the next beast of this company.
I think Oba has to. I think I would do that.
I agree. I think Oba has
that.
to.
Bro, I love Obafemi. I think
Oba's the best.
Obafemi. And I'm not saying it because you're saying Brock. I think Obafemi, not personality-wise, like the way Brock is in WWE, but I think build-wise,
physique-wise.
I think build-wise and that unstoppable force-wise is the next Brock Lesnar.
I agree, and I think
Brock, the gimmicks and stuff that Brock used to do was. Oba's going to be much more of a serious wrestler than Brock doing these gimmicks with Paul Heyman, like these silly matches with Paul Heyman.
I mean, it's not really silly because Paul Heyman's more, his advocate, So it's his manager.
I think you'll get more of a serious, but you'll get the next big beast of WWF or WWE. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Rob.
I still randomly call it WWF.
Rob said it best, man. My boy Rob, shout out Rob. Rob said it best. Oba is like the future of this company, and I 100% see it.
No, I mean, when you think about it, you got Roman Reigns. I think, it's not confirmed, but I think we're seeing the end of, Roman's career.
Yeah.
Max 2 years, I think he's got left. But I think we're starting to see the end run of Roman's career where he's going to go after world titles just to try to go out on top. Whether he wins or loses, I don't know. But I feel like you're at the point in WWE where Roman's, if they could do it right, you do Roman Rock finally. I think if Roman's going to retire in the next year or two, you let him retire against The Rock. You just have to build it right. But I think there still is a story you can do there.
I mean, I agree, but at the same time, I kind of feel like when they had the opportunity,
they had the opportunity and it died, and it lost its luster. But I feel like it's a big if you can get the story right, you still do it because it would still be hyped up. I feel like you're seeing CM Punk too. I feel like you're seeing Punk's got maybe 2-3 years left.
He said he's not going anywhere. Yeah, he said maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5, I think max.
So,
but Randy said he's not going anywhere.
Randy, I think, is just going to go until the wheels fall off.
And honestly,
I know he's had a lot of injuries lately, but I think if he's healthy and stays healthy, he'll go until the next major injury. I hope never happens, but I think The only way Randy goes now is say he gets like another one of those neck injuries or something like that he missed like almost a whole year with.
Which, speaking of neck injuries, shout out Biggie, man. He had to retire because of the horrendous neck injury in
Is he
2022.
actually retired?
He is actually retired.
Because I remember you always said there was rumors of him coming back.
There were rumors, but he's retired, and he confirmed it himself, and it hurts me to say because I actually
that
really
does
love
hurt six. I love
Biggie, man.
I don't like what they did with the New Day kicking him out, but
yeah,
I think you could maybe, if you could find a way to turn them back to faces, have him be more of like a manager to the New Day, to get him back into main because he's really only on the pay-per-view pre-shows now.
Yeah, and I think he fits that role perfectly.
No. I was saying he fits that role great. I was just saying maybe to get him back in mainstream WWE, Raw or SmackDown, make him be like more of like come in now that he's retired as the manager of the New Day.
Which, by the way, stop running with Grayson Waller and the New Day. There is no purpose for this. There is no purpose, and it could just be that I do not like Grayson Waller because he plays a great, he plays a great character like that. But he just seems like a bit of a in real life. We don't need Grayson Waller and the New Day with each other.
You don't.
Turn them back to face, and we're good. Speaking of CM Punk, segues me to the next segment. Punk did a phenomenal promo, which, by the way, I said this to you multiple times, and I will continue to say this. CM Punk is one of the pioneers carrying this company right now.
Okay. This is where I agree with Dom wholeheartedly, and I'm actually gonna make Dom very happy. I think if Cody and Punk didn't come back to WWE when they did, right now we're looking at WWE as being so far under promotions like AEW and TNA, it's not even funny. I genuinely think them coming back in 22 and 23, or what was it, 22, 23?
22, yeah, 22, 23.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was 23, 24, or 22.
No, 22.
Them coming back 22, 23 at Mania and Survivor Series, just for a storytelling standpoint and drawing people in, save WWE.
I mean,
and I hate to say this, I'm not an AEW fan. It's not even like it's different reasons than Dom. I just think AEW is like a wannabe ECW mixed with
WCW. Yeah.
It's a WCW mixed with ECW for the extreme, like how extreme they go. And I think it's, it's noticeable. And I think, I don't care about the owner. Like Dom doesn't like them because
I just don't like them because of Tony Khan, but Dom's I respect them. But I respect them as a company for what they are trying to do.
I don't like them as a company. I feel like it's just a knockoff of early 2000s Monday night trying to do like
a Nitro back in back in the 90s.
But they would just get stomped with. I think even now with WWE, they somehow WWE just stomped them.
But yeah, Punk cut a promo, which again, like I said, Punk does a phenomenal job with his promos. He went on to call out Finn Balor because they have their match this Saturday, the Elimination Chamber, as well as Roman Reigns signed to their WrestleMania main event. Raquel Rodriguez, the final participant in the Women's Elimination Chamber match. I love it. I thought she was the perfect opportunity.
Are we watching Chamber together?
We are watching Chamber together this Saturday. And we're probably gonna be eating McDonald's or some pizza.
Probably.
Knowing us,
you'll go. We'll get something.
But Raquel, I'm very happy Raquel is claimed the final spot because she's just a remarkable performer. She took the comments that Big Daddy Diesel said.
Big Daddy Diesel.
And I'm happy that she is in this company. I think she's the perfect opportunity. I think she would be a great underrated champion. But one thing I really want to highlight from Raw before we get to NXT and then the events coming up and then the NBA. This almost did bring a tear to my eye because AJ Styles confirmed he is retired from in-ring performing. We knew it was happening with the Gunther match. AJ, you just did a phenomenal, no pun intended, just a phenomenal career.
Yeah.
That spans across not only your time in WWE, but TNA, New Japan, Ring of Honor.
I thought when he retired, I thought what was going to happen, and obviously we're wrong. Are you crying?
No, I just rolled my eye.
I was going to say, there's no shot. You're crying on it.
No. My eye is legit just itchy right now.
So I was going to say, I thought what was going to happen was he was going to retire from WWE.
And go back to TNA.
And do like a little run in TNA with the WWE partnership because now he won't have to sign or get permission to go to WWE.
Yeah, because of the partnership.
Because of the partnership, he could just cross over now and do like maybe 3-4 matches and then have a second retire match in TNA. I don't mind him just flat out just retiring in WWE. I just thought for the nostalgia, it would have been cool for him. To win
Yeah, I
TNA.
would have loved that.
But him retiring in WWE is fine with me. He got a really, the only part of Monday Night Raw I watched, he got a really,
That tribute was great.
really great. Yeah, really touching, great tribute.
Using Higher by Creed.
Great song.
Great song.
But I think, I think his retirement match to Gunther was way better than
Then
Cena
the Cena
and
retirement.
Goldberg.
Yeah.
I think, I think, because did he tap?
No, he fell asleep.
Yeah, I think that's.
I
what they
think,
should-
and Gunther fell asleep
They
too.
did what
No,
they-
Goldberg fell asleep too.
They did what Cena should have did and just fell asleep instead of tapping. I don't think Cena should have tapped.
I understand why they did the whole Cena tapping, the whole never give up.
Yeah,
thing,
but I
he
think-
knew his time was up, so he had to give up. So I understand it, but it's just like, come on. But Undertaker came out, and
As the American badass.
I completely lost
Two
it.
Kid Rock, which made it even funnier.
Yeah, 2 Kid Rock. Yeah.
Great song.
To inform AJ that he will be the newest inductee of the 2026 WWE Hall
I
of
go
Fame.
on Twitter after
which is
that, and I
phenomenal.
see these incels melting down that John Cena is not going to the 26 Hall of Fame. Someone made a very good point. John Cena is such a respectable person that
Well, WWE's actually trying to get Cena to induct him into the Hall of
yeah.
Fame.
Well, someone said too, John Cena is such a respectable person and such a selfless individual
Yes.
behind the scenes
This is why I
that-
love Cena.
that a lot of people, like a lot of true wrestling, I say true wrestling, a lot of the true wrestling fans online think Cena passed up the opportunity to allow AJ Styles to get the spotlight first.
Honestly, I wouldn't put
To
it
allow
past him.
AJ Styles to get the spotlight first in the Hall of Fame and Cena will go in when he's ready.
I wouldn't put it past him.
You know,
Another
I
thing,
think
too,
I think Cena knows he's going in the WWE Hall of Fame. It's more of a matter of fact of when he's ready and when
Yeah.
WWE wants to do it. And I think Cena's just gonna do it when he wants to. Let other people get the spotlight for the Hall of Fame before him. Because everyone knows when Cena goes in the Hall of Fame, no matter what superstar you put there, it could be, I'm just using this as a thing. You could be putting The Rock in there with Cena. Cena's
Yeah,
gonna
I
get the
was-
spotlight over The Rock. Or you could be putting The Rock or someone that big with John Cena as the 2 Hall of Fame inductees, and for a fact Cena's getting all the spotlight over someone like The Rock.
and I like that though. I really like that, and that's why.
And
That's why another reason why Cena is like
Yeah.
one of my favorite people of all time, because he was like, I want these guys to get their time.
I respect. I think Cena will go in 2027 or 2028,
The one thing I am
'Cause I
waiting
feel like-
for,
unless you get another massive surprise retirement this year. I feel like there's no one really huge for 2027, unless they pull strings to get Batista to finally do it, because Batista's been wanting to do it for years. It's just that his schedule with filming, because he's filming 3-4 movies a year.
yeah, I mean,
He's filming like 3 or 4 movies a year that he's almost unavailable to give up
yeah, pretty
3
much.
days to go to WrestleMania to be put in the Hall of Fame. Unless you can manage from now to get him in the 2027 Hall of Fame with Cena.
And it's been working.
He was
since
supposed to go in 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
And when the pandemic hit, he passed it because he wanted to do it in front of the fans. instead of
Yes.
just doing it. And WWE wound up not even doing an induction in 2020 when he passed it. up.
No, they did it in 2021, and
They
like
merged the classes.
Yeah,
and
and
they
it
had
was
a bigger
like-
class in 2021. I
I think
believe
it was like Great Khali was in it. There were a couple guys in that class. I can't remember.
they wound up
exactly.
like merging whoever was supposed to go in with Batista in 2020 with a 2021 inductee class.
Yeah,
And that was a smarter call, letting the fans be there for it. And I think Batista wants to do it. I really think it's just a matter of when he could be available. And whenever that time comes that he could do it, it's going to be another great Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think Cena though is going to go in 2027.
I hope. I mean, I really hope. But
I honestly think it's just going to be when John wants to go in, he goes
Yeah.
in, and which is the respectable thing, because Sean's the type of person to just let other wrestlers get the spotlight.
yeah, and then we'll cut to the Elimination Chamber. I'm gonna say right now, I'm gonna save the NBA for your show.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, why don't we do that? Because we could do NBA for my show.
But I do want to get.
It's basically just an
wrestling.
extension of this anyway.
Yeah,
Just
so
another hour.
this Saturday, February 28th, from the United Center, the first time WWE has been in the United Center in Chicago since 1994 SummerSlam.
Really?
Had the most infamous main event of The Undertaker versus The Undertaker. We've seen the Elimination Chamber, 4 matches, both the Elimination Chamber matches, one being the men's Elimination Chamber match for an undisputed WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 42.
Jake.
Is it Jake?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I told him to
Um,
pop in.
Which we will have Randy Orton versus LA Knight versus Cody Rhodes versus Javon Evans versus Trick Williams versus Jey Uso. I did say in my predictions Cody was going to win. I think Cody still will win, but I honestly think Randy should deserve it. We have the women's elimination chamber match for the WWE Women's Championship match at WrestleMania 42. Tiffany Stratton versus Rhea Ripley versus Alexa Bliss versus Asuka versus Kiana James versus Raquel Rodriguez. I've been hearing that Rhea Ripley may win this match. I wouldn't mind
I like
it.
that a lot.
I wouldn't mind it. Depending on Friday if she loses the titles.
To me, the chamber this year, elimination chamber to me, just feels like, the obvious is gonna win. The obvious ones are gonna win.
I think Tiffany Stratton's going to win this one instead of Rhea because I do think that Rhea and Io will retain on Friday. They are facing Nia Jax and Lash Legend. I think if they don't retain, I think Rhea wins. But I think if they are going to retain, and my gut is just saying Tiffany will win. For the two singles matches, we have Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. Very surprised we're not doing this at WrestleMania, but I'm happy we're getting this. I love Becky. I do. Sports Illustrated says it. She's the best wrestler in the world, as she always says. I love Becky, but I also, I adore AJ. She was one of my favorites as a kid.
AJ wins,
I think AJ wins. And then, of course, Punk, Balor. I think you're looking at one of the best matches this year. It's two of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I already told Pete the only problem I have is I got to see what this kid did. I need to see what this kid did.
Do you guys have?
We ain't got waffles.
We ain't got waffles. What would you say for that on the air?
Yeah. The only problem I told you, Pete, that I had with the Balor Punk match is I did want a stipulation match. I didn't want like a street fight or something.
I like the Chicago street fight.
But I'm happy that it is just a regular singles match. We're looking at one of the best matches this year. As for who's in that mystery box, I think
let's wrap up with the mystery box.
I'm going to do a little NXT before I get to the mystery box. So NXT, a lot of title changes, a lot of things happen. One of the best episodes of NXT this year. We have new NXT Tag Team Champions with the Vanity Project defeating Dark State, a new WWE Speed Champion with Elio LaFleur, a luchador from AAA. He was a French luchador, phenomenal wrestler, by the way, winning the Speed Championship. Tyler McGill. We got Tatum Paxley calling out Izzy Dame for an NXT North American Championship match. Zarya finally betraying Sol Ruka, which we knew was going to happen. We have Jada Parker costing Blake Monroe a WWE Speed Championship opportunity, which I don't know why she would cost that opportunity. So Thea Hale won that. And then Ethan Page versus Miles Bourne, two of the best wrestlers in NXT. And I've said it, Ethan Page, one of the best performers in the company next, and one of the best parts of the company. Losing the North American Championship. He's now one of the longest reigning NXT North American champions with Oba Femi at 273 days. Miles Bourne dethroned him. Very happy for Miles Bourne. I already knew Stephanie Becerra was jumping up and down for that.
Yeah. But when she got punched in the face, it was great.
I know.
When Liv punched her off the face, as much as I love Stephanie Becerra, that was so unexpected. It was a great promo.
This then leads us to, of course, NXT Vengeance Day next Saturday, March 7th, which we will be at. Probably watching.
If you put it on at my birthday dinner, I'm leave.
No. Screw you.
No, you're not watching NXT at my birthday.
Yes,
I don't like NXT. It's not being put on.
Screw you. But next Saturday,
I'm kidding.
Next Saturday, we have NXT Vengeance Day. First NXT Vengeance Day to be
Take it easy, Tonka.
I know. First Vengeance Day to be in March.
Tonka
we have
Jahan.
3 matches confirmed so far. We have Joe Hendry versus Ricky Saints for the NXT Championship. I'm going Joe Hendry. I love Ricky Saints, going my man Joe Hendry. Izzy Dame versus Tatum Paxley, and probably a last chance match for the NXT Women's North American Championship. I love Izzy, but Tatum's going to win this. She deserves it. And then NXT Underground match, Kalani Jordan, Lola Vice. Got to give it to Lola Vice, man. As for who's in that mystery box, I do think Chris Jericho's in that mystery box. However, I can't see what people say when they think The Rock is in the mystery box.
Okay.
But
My thing with that, as I like it. I like The Rock being in there. What's the point?
Oh my God, Pete! Look who it is.
What's the point? What's the point of The Rock?
He's
what's
gonna
the point?
take Cody Soul.
What's the point of Dwayne The Rock Johnson? What's the point of Dwayne The Rock Johnson being in that box?
He's gonna take Cody Soul.
And the only reason he's in that box is if Cody wins the title off Drew at Mania. Because I guarantee this is what's gonna happen. Cody's gonna win the Chamber, gonna beat Drew at Mania night 1. That's gonna be the night 1 match because Punk and Roman's night 2.
Yes. Mo Bamba contract with the Utah.
We'll talk about that on my.
Yeah, I was not expecting
my
that.
closing thoughts are this. This is what if with The Rock in that box, here's what's gonna happen.
There's no purpose for it. There is no purpose for the
he
Rock
comes
being in the
out of
box.
that, I'm trying not to curse. I want to say an F-bomb so bad with that box because Dom got me pissed off with the Rock in the box.
That's what I've been hearing. Is that
If
it could
he
be him.
comes out of that box, that guarantees Cody wins the Elimination Chamber, beats Drew, and they do Cody Rock solo at Mania. Night one. Guarantees. That guarantees what's going to happen is Cody's going to win the title off Drew, and then Rock's going to come out at WrestleMania and challenge him at SummerSlam. I guarantee it's going to happen, and it's going to be one of the worst things WWE could do because you're just burying any talent that would have had a title shot off Drew or Cody. Your best bet is making it Chris Jericho just to make Chris Jericho have a grand return.
I think it's Chris Jericho, or because of how he does do his returns and because of his character overall. I think Danhausen from AEW is probably.
It could be him too.
I think it could be Danhausen, but I think Jericho's probably
but
more likely.
I think it's most likely Jericho. And if it's not Jericho, then I just don't think Jericho's ever really going to come back. At this point,
at this point,
I don't think Jericho's going to show up. With that being said, Dom,
this is the end of DNP Power Hour 1. Tune
Tune
in. What time are we at? 2:30? 2:30 for DNP Power Hour 2. We're going to talk about hockey, Scream 7, a little bit of Marvel, because I actually want to talk Marvel on our show, and NBA.